Hello everyone. Now, in this lecture, we are understanding one more technique for the synthesis of nanomaterials, and the name of the technique is Sol gel. So, this is a Sol gel method, is a one of the technique which is used for the synthesis of nanomaterials. So let us try to understand this technique in detail. So the Sol is the name of colloidal solution made of solid particles with diameter in the range 1 to 100 nanometer size range suspended in a liquid phase. So as far as Sol gel method is concerned, if we break the word Sol and gel differently, then these are familiar word of Sol, that is a solution, okay, and second one is gel, okay, so it is a another kind of phase of the solution, okay. So as far as Sol is concerned, so as the solution, it is a colloidal solution where the size of the size of the particles lies in the range of 1 to 100 nanometer, okay. So a Sol consists of liquid with undissolved colloidal particles which do not agglomerate or sediment. So this is called as a Sol, okay. So here is the picture, schematic representation is shown where there is a metal oxide solution, okay. So then you can see that it is followed by hydrolysis, okay, hydrolysis followed by condensation, okay, and then what you are getting is a formation of Sol, okay. And so this is a stage where the initial precursors get hydrolyzed, okay, first hydrolyzed, and then they condense, okay, and then what we are getting is nothing but the Sol. So basically in Sol, what you can see, the blue color is a liquid solution, okay, and the dotted yellow color dots represents the colloidal particles, and these particles are stable, okay, and they are not agglomerating with each other, and this is what the beauty of the Sol, okay. The gel can be considered as three-dimensional cross linking of solid macromolecule immersed in a solvent, okay. So already Sol is there. If the particles come together by the process which is called as polycondensation, then what we got is nothing but a three-dimensional cross linking of these solid macromolecules, and of course the liquid is remain there only, okay. So if this is the state, then we call this as a wet gel, because liquid is there, large amount of liquid is there, so we call this as a wet gel, okay. So so this is the way how there is a formation of precursor solution to first Sol, and then that Sol is get converted into the wet gel by the process of polycondensation, okay, and that's why we call this process as a Sol gel method, okay. And once you get the gel, then you are able to prepare the materials of different of different types, okay, that we will see in the detail when as we are looking ahead for this technique. So once we understand what is Sol and what is gel, then let us try to understand what are the different steps which are involved in this method. So the first is conversion, that is the activation of molecular precursor to the reactive state. Okay, so initially we have some precursors. Okay, and what is important is we have to activate these precursors in the reactive state so that they start to react. Then there is a polycondensation of activated molecular precursors to nanocluster forming sol. So first step is what? To form the sol. So there is a polycondensation of activated molecular precursor to nanocluster, and then because there is a formation of nanoclusters in the solution, so we call this as a colloidal solution, so we call it as a sol. After that, the next step is of gelation. Okay, once there is a gelation is completed, then there is a formation of a gel. So just to imagine how that gel looks like, you can see your toothpaste. Okay, there are toothpaste which are have a gel in the form of a gel. Okay, so some pastes you can see that they are in the form of a gel, or you can also you have seen there is a jellies. Okay, are available which you can eat. Okay, sweet jellies are available which you can eat. So these are all example of gel. Okay, so they are not completely solid, they are not completely liquid, they are in between, so it is called as a gel. Once there is a formation of a gel, then what you can do is in order to get the nanoparticles, you can make aging, and then you can wash it, you can dry it, and for if required, and then you can for the crystallization process, what you can do is you can provide heat treatment. Okay, so what you get is your final product. So these are the steps which are involved in the Sol-Gel method, and you have to follow these steps in order to prepare nanoparticles. Now, as far as the sol formation is concerned, okay, and gel conversion. Okay, so step is from precursor solution to sol formation, and after that there is a gel formation. Okay, so two important steps are continuously happening during these stages, which are called as hydrolysis and condensation. Okay, so these are the two important steps which are continuously take place during the formation of sol and gel. So let us try to understand how these hydrolysis and condensations are initiated. So you can see the metal alkoxides. Okay, so example is a titanium isopropoxide, titanium ethoxide, titanium butoxide. So these are all are examples of titanium alkoxides. They can be used as a precursor in Sol-Gel operation. So suppose for an simplicity, if we want to prepare TiO2 nanoparticles by using the Sol-Gel method, then what we can do is we have to choose the initial precursor, which should be a type of metal alkoxide. Okay, so if we are interested to prepare TiO2 nanoparticles, then the precursor what we have to choose is either from this list, that is titanium isopropoxide or titanium ethoxide or titanium butoxide. You can take any one of them. So metal alkoxides are most extensively used as these are commercially available in high purity and their solution chemistry is well understood. Okay, so why we have to choose these alkoxides? It has two advantages. First advantage is it is easily available commercially. Okay, it is low cost. Okay, so it is easily available commercially, and the purity is high. Okay, Second advantage is their chemistry, solution chemistry is well understood. It means that after once we have these alkoxides, we are well aware that how these alkoxides are going to help for the formation of Solangel. Okay, for preparation of alumina and zirconia. Okay, so for example, alumina means Al2O3. Okay, Al2O3, and zirconia is ZrO2. Okay, so if you want to prepare this kind of material, then obviously you have to use aluminium propoxide and zirconium propoxide are used as precursors, okay, respectively. Okay, so for alumina you have to use aluminium propoxide. For zirconia you have to choose zirconia propoxide. The condensation chemistry in this case is based on olation oblique oxidation reactions between hydroxylated species. Okay, so the condensation chemistry is how it is taking place by two ways. One is the olation. Okay, olation is a condensation process, and then it is followed by oxidation. Okay, reactions between hydroxylated species. So let us try to understand what is olation. Olation is a condensation process in which a hydroxyl bridge, that is OH bridge, is formed between two metal centers. Okay, so if you take two metals, in between two metals there is a bridge of formation of OH. If this is it is called as an hydroxyl bridge, and if this is this type of condensation of two metal molecules take place, then we have to call this as olation. In case of oxidation, so oxidation is also a condensation reaction in which an oxo bridge, oxo means based on oxygen. Okay, so O bridge is formed between two metal centers. Okay, so in one case, in olation case, there is the two metal centers, they come together with a bridge of hydroxyl bridge group. Okay, hydroxyl group bridge, that is OH. And in case of oxidation, the bridge is oxygen. Okay, so the Sol-Gel chemistry can be represented by following two reactions. So you can see in case of hydrolysis, okay, we have metal OR is a group, plus then we have H2O. Okay, then what we have is H2O. Now this R here is M here is represents metal atom, metallic atom. Okay, X is representing H, that is hydrogen, and R X is representing H or R, that is these are the alkyl group. So what you can see is MOR plus H2O. What is the final product? MOH plus ROH. Okay, so what you can see is there is a OH group is there, so this process is called as an hydrolysis. So basically MOR get break into MOH separately, metal gets separate, and the alkaline group got separated from each other. So metal and alkyl group, they get separated from each other. So this is called with the help of water molecule, so we call this as an hydrolysis. Now in case of condensation process, we already have this MOH because hydrolysis has been processed first, and the product of hydrolysis process is MOH group plus XOM. Okay, plus XOM. Okay, so that group is there, and then what happens is in this condensation process MOM is take place plus XOH is the byproduct. Okay, now this MOM is basically nothing but the oxidation type of condensation. Okay, right? Is it right? Yeah. So X MOM is basically representing the oxidation type of condensation reaction. Okay, so here X is nothing but H for condensation due to water, and X is equal to R for condensation due to alcohol. So here you can take X is either as I said, it can be either H, hydrogen, or R, that is alkyl group. When it is hydrogen, X will be hydrogen if there is a condensation due to water molecule, but if the condensation is due to alcohol, then X should be R. So this is the way how there is a formation of the sol. Then there is a gelation process. So gel grows by forming a network which extend across the entire container. So what you can see is if your sol is in some kind of container, then what happens when the process of gelation started, then there is a formation of network of these metal groups, okay, which extends across the entire container. So it is not like that it is happening only on the surface or bottom of the solution. So no, it is happening all over the sol. The gel structure is determined by the ionic character of the MO bond and the relationship between the hydrolysis and condensation rate. Okay, so how the gel structure is going to form? So that depend upon several parameter, like what is the ionic character of MO bond. Okay, so if we know what is the ionic character of MO bond, then that is useful to form the gel structure. And what is the relationship between the hydrolysis and condensation rate? If the hydrolysis process, if the rate of hydrolysis process and condensation process, if they are in balance, then there is the formation of this gel structure. After a period of time, the sol experiences a transition from liquid solution to cross-linked gel state. Okay, so after a period of time, so if we have to allow certain amount of time in order to convert that sol into gel. So it is not a rapid process, it is a slow process, because step by step there is a olation and oxidation is happening, and it has to happen all over through the sol so that the entire sol is get converted into gel. So the period of time is known as gel time or gelation time. Okay, so whatever is the period is required for complete conversion of sol into gel, that time we call this as a gel time or gelation time. So it can be different depending upon the situation of the precursor and the parameters which we are controlling during the sol gel reaction process. So the gelation time is depends on rate of hydrolysis, rate of polycondensation, and type of catalyst. So sometimes it is useful to use catalyst so that it will increase the rate of reaction. Okay, so therefore the gelation time is depends upon several factor, that is the rate of hydrolysis, rate of polycondensation, and type of photocatalyst which we are using. So here on the right hand side we have shown that we have shown that there is a gel time with 0.05 mole catalyst. Okay, so concentration of catalyst is same, but which type of catalyst you are using, depending upon that the gel time may get vary. For example, if you use HCl, then the gelation time is 92 hour. If it is H2SO4, 106 hour. If the catalyst is NH4OH, 107 hour. And if we use HI as a catalyst, okay, then it takes a very long time, that is 400 hour. So that is also important, that which type of catalyst you are using for this process. At the end of gelation, there is a continuous phase containing a structure that reflects formation and branching of particles under specific growth conditions. Okay, so once the gelation is complete, okay, what we have expected is that there is a continuous phase containing the structure that reflects the formation and branching of particles. Okay, so three dimensional cross-linked branches of this oxalation and olation group is there. Okay, and that is what we are expecting. And then once it is get formed, then what it looks like is shown in the schematic. As the sol aggregates, the viscosity will increase until a gel is formed. Okay, because now here what happens, it is started to aggregate, so its viscosity is obviously going to increase, and it is possible to turn the container upside down. So if there is a sol, and if you just tilt it, okay, 90-degree, the sol will come out of the beaker. But once there is a formation of gel, and even if you the face you keep in the downward direction, then still it will not get fall down, because it has a high viscosity. A fluid is kept in the gel and the volume is maintained. So all the fluid liquid which is present in this in the sol, it remain in the gel. Okay, in between the this cross linked gel state. Okay, so the next step is aging. Okay, so once there is a formation of gel, then the next step is aging. Okay, so let us try to understand what is the importance of this aging step. For visible formation of gel, processing needs aging step, where the structure and properties of the formed network continue to change up to the point that yields the target density. Okay, so as far as the gel is concerned, okay, what you can see is the gel is formed, but there may be a lot of defects. Okay, a lot of empty space has got remained. Okay, so what you can see is, if we have to provide an additional time. Okay, we have to provide an additional time where what happens, there is a densification of gel is take place. So it represents the time between the formation of gel and removal of solvent. So as the solvent is coming out slowly, okay, what happens, it is because it is a porous structure. Okay, because it is a three-dimensional porous structure. So as it is coming out, okay, as we are removing the solvent, okay, so what happens, it is going to be dry. Okay, so we have to supply sufficient amount of time for this process, where this densification is also take place, because these cross-linked chains are arranging themselves accordingly. Okay, so what you can see is it is shown in figure 4.52. so there are two figures, figure is A and B, and you can see that the site percolation on square lattice. Okay, so suppose there is a square lattice, then what sites are occupied and which are not occupied is shown in A. So here you can see that for figure A, the P is equal to 0.5, and for so P, you can see it is a porosity. Okay, so it is a almost 50% porous. Okay, but if you can see in the image B, where for P is equal to 0.75. So P is what? The fraction of filled sphere. Okay, fraction of filled sphere. So it get more filled in B. Okay, so that is because of this aging process. As long as the pore liquid remains in the matrix, a gel is not static and can undergo many strong transformation. Okay, so if liquid is remained in the matrix, okay, then what happens? Then the gel is not static. It is not in the static form and can undergo many transformation. So it may again get converted back to sol in some of the time. This step include 4 processes, that is a polycondensation, okay, syneresis, that is extraction of liquid from a gel. Okay, so these are the processes which are taking place during the aging process. So what is the first process? That is a polycondensation. Second is a syneresis. Syneresis means extraction of liquid from a gel. Third process is coarsening, that is smaller, the grow at the cost of larger. Okay, so that is a coarsening. Okay, and then the last part is phase transformation. Okay, the last part is phase transformation. So all these steps are basically happening in the aging process. So you have to give sufficient amount of time for this aging process in order to get better result. Now the next step is the drying step of sol gel process. Okay, what is the next step? Is the drying process. So the encapsulated liquid which is present, okay, in between the cross linked sites can be removed from a gel. Results solid product are known as xerogel and aerogel depending upon the way of drying. Okay, so you can see on the right hand side below colorful image where you can see that there is a initially metal oxide solution is there, then hydrolysis and polycondensation take place and there is a formation of sol. Now that sol you can utilize it in different ways. Okay, that sol you can utilize in different ways. So one way is to coat, okay, on the substrate. The second way is to convert it into the wet gel. The third step is you can immediately form a uniform particle by the process of precipitation, and the fourth step is you can use some spinning process, electro spinning process, so that what you are getting the product in the form of fibers. Okay, now right now we are focusing our attention on wet gel. Okay, so first this metal oxide solution get converted into sol. That sol is get converted into this wet gel process. Once there is a formation of wet gel, then what you can see is there are two ways. One way is extraction of solvent. Okay, so and the other way is evaporation. Okay, so if you, depending upon the type of drying process you are using, there are two types of materials are formed. One is a xerogel and second one is an aerogel. If you directly take out the water, okay, solution, okay, from this wet gel, then what happens? You get a dried wet gel, but here the structure get collapse. Okay, why the structure get collapse? Because what you can see is, suppose there is a network. Okay, so these square boxes is basically representing the network. Okay, and what happens in between this network? There is what? There is a fluid. Okay, there is a liquid is there, and what is important is we are trying to taking out that liquid, and we want the final product in the dry condition. Okay, so so when we are taking out this liquid, then what happens? There is an formation of capillary forces. There is a generation of capillary forces because of the curvature of these pores. Okay, so these forces are, if you don't allow in enough time, and if you rapidly take out all the liquid, then these forces get imbalanced and they finally crack. Okay, they finally crack the network. Okay, if they crack the network, what you are getting is zero cell. Okay, what you are getting, the final product is zero cell. And further, if you heat it and you can press in the form of a dense ceramic, so what you are finally getting is just a powder. Okay, and nothing else. So what you're getting is a nanoparticles. Okay, so if you want nanoparticles, then you just dry the gel by our regular way, then what you get is the powder. But if you use some special technique where you sufficiently allow time to take out this liquid by in the way such that the capillary forces are not that high, which can break the network. So if you slowly take out the solution out of this network, then what happen is you get a special product which is called as an aerogel. Okay, so what is aerogel content? So it is a solid foam with 90% of air. Okay, so there is a 95% is air. Okay, in between the pores. Okay, in between the network, that is the pores of the gel, and your structure remain as it is. Three-dimensional structure remain as it is. So if this is the case, then you get a special product which is called as an aerogel. So this is what we have discussed here. So the encapsulated liquid can be removed from a gel, results into the solid product are known as zero-cell and aerogel depending on the way of drying. So there are two methods of drying gels. One is evaporative drying. So this is a traditional drying process in the ambient condition, and because of and there is no control over the rate of heating. Okay, so that will break the gel network structure due to capillary forces acted on the walls of the network. When gels are dried by evaporation, the dried product is called as an zero gel. Second one is a special case. So I'm sorry for the number. Okay, it is by mistake, so try to correct it. So it is a second type of drying is supercritical drying, or it is called as an extraction. Okay, so this is a special way of heating. Okay, so this is called as a supercritical drying or extraction. So the drying process in which the liquid in a substance is transformed into gas. So instead of directly evaporating it, okay, first what you have to do, you have to convert that liquid in the form of a gas. So drying process in which the liquid in a substance is transformed into gas without destroying the material's delicate nanostructure pore network. Okay, so without damaging that network, porous network. Okay, if we take out the solution in such a way that it is like a gas, we convert it in the form of a gas. If this happens, then that type of drying is called as a supercritical drying. And when the gels are dried by supercritical drying, then the dried gel is called as an aerogel. So aerogel retains high porosity and has very high porous volume. Apart from this, you can obtain different materials through Sol-Gel process. So one is you can get simply nanoparticles powder in the powder form. Second is a aerogel, what you can get. Next what you can get is, you can also from Sol you can able to draw the fibers, or you can make a thin film over on some substrate. So these are the ways by which you can get your product in multiple forms, and depending upon your application and interest, you can follow that step, so that you will get different final product. But the most of the time the the beauty of this sol gel process is to synthesize aerogel, okay, because there is no other way by which you will get the aerogel. So sol gel is the process which can only give you this kind of product. What are the advantages of sol gel process? So this process can provide a simple, economic and effective method to produce high quality product. Okay, so it is a simple, okay, simple in the sense we can easily do it in the lab, economic and effective, right? Second is the various materials with high purity and uniform structure can be achievable at relatively low temperature. Okay, so the purity is high and the structure is uniform, and what you can get it is at low temperature. It is possible to get product into powder, fiber, ceramic and coating. Okay. Aerogel has novel properties, that is highly porous, lightweight nanomaterials. So it's a different applications, okay, and it is giving you a very interesting results for, because it is a very porous, it is light in weight, but still it is giving you very high surface area to volume ratio. Okay, so that is what you need for many technological application. So composites can be created by filling in these pores during or after gel production. So you can also make the composite out of this material. What are the disadvantages of sol gel process? It is difficult to control synthesis, cleaning, drying and thermal post treatment. Okay, this thermal post treatment is very important. Cleaning is important, drying is important, but sometimes it is difficult to control it if we are thinking this process at an industrial scale. Okay, so difficult to control synthesis, cleaning, drying and thermal post treatment steps, making this production process more complex at industrial scale. And the second one is organic contaminants can remain in the gel. So some of the organic contaminant will remain in the gel because we are not able to clean it, okay, at an very micro level. Okay, so these are the advantages and disadvantages of sol gel process. Okay, now in the next lecture we will try to understand what are the ways by which we can make the coatings by using the sol gel technique. So we will stop here. Thank you.